everyone, Jess here with my business partner Adonis McReynolds, and this video is actually very exciting because it is one of our most frequently asked questions, so much so that we decided to create a whole video about it and not just add it to our frequently asked questions. So today we're going to talk about, is JobStream AI a recruitment agency?
Mm, Very important question to answer, right? Because there's many different recruiters out there, many different people out there who are helping people with their job search. To be clear, JobStream AI is indeed a recruitment agency, but at the same time, it also isn't. What do I mean by that? Well, quite simply, we do help people the traditional business to business route, right? We go the whole 9 yards in terms of making sure that we find a great client for you. We find a company that could be a good fit for your skill sets and what you do. But sometimes we don't always do that by order of the company, right? Sometimes we don't get an order from the company to contact you. Sometimes we'll contact you with the purpose of trying to help you on a personal level, right? I think the way that we best help on a personal level is we'll help you with your LinkedIn, we'll help you with your resume, we'll help you with what do I need to do to position myself and put myself in position for success, right? So yes and no. We're a job search agency, meaning like we'll help assist you with your job, and certainly that could be through business to business recruitment in the traditional sense. But there's also a sense in which we also are hired by you to put you in the best position for success. And the way that we do that, if you're interested, you can take a look at some of our other videos, and we kind of go into that in greater detail.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say like we are a recruitment agency, but we go so much beyond a traditional recruitment agency, and that's really what the benefit is here for you. So I guess we can discuss a little bit about, the benefits of regular recruiting and then why we do what we do, which goes way further beyond just regular recruiting.
Absolutely. So yeah, we can talk about the benefits of working with a recruitment agency, a standard one. These are pretty stereotypical, like things that you hear. One of the things that you'll hear about what staffing agencies can do is oftentimes they have an open role that fits you perfectly, and I shouldn't say oftentimes because many times they don't. But if they do have a role that fits you perfectly, then great. It's one of the easier experiences you'll have. I've done so many of these deals myself where it's like, hey, I just so happen to have a role open, reach out to a person that I think is a good fit. We go through the whole process of describing what they're looking for and what they want. And then we kind of just go from there, right? And it's pretty easy. So when it works out that way, which isn't a ton of the time, using a recruitment agency is great, like a standard recruitment agency. But just keep in mind that's not the norm. You're usually not going to be that lucky person per se that's the first best fit all around for what a company is hiring that recruiter to fill, right? So we got to keep that in mind. Jess, did you want to maybe cover the second benefit of like why using a recruitment agency is a good idea?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the one of the best reasons to use a recruitment agency, I guess, is that it's like easier. Like, you don't have to put in as much work because it's kind of like a matchmaking service. And a lot of people, they like it because it's free. But always remember that you're not getting anything for free for real. So that's something that I really wanted to talk about and highlight. If you get a job placement through a recruitment agency, the recruiter has to get paid somehow. So what they're doing is they're taking that money off of your salary. And so you think you're winning, but you're actually winning less because let's say it's like, oh my God, I just got this job through a recruiter and they're paying me 70,000 a year. Like, okay, awesome, that's great, and there's nothing wrong with that. But technically, if you have got that job without using the recruiter, you could have possibly made even 100,000 a year because they can take as much as 30%, if not more. So you are losing $30,000 for that whole year. So that's one of the benefits that people don't really seem to understand. They're like, well, it's free, it's free, it's free, but it's never free. So keep that in mind. But it is easy and it is free for you in the terms of that you do not have to put any money upfront.
Yep, and that includes us, right? Like, because again, we do traditional recruiting in the sense of agency recruiting, but I'm always going to be doing that contingent upon a company paying me a good amount of money to do the search for them. So that cuts into your budget, unfortunately. I'm sorry, but as a recruiter, I can't, what's the word? Kind of like dissolve or delude anyone into thinking like we don't offer the same premium services that any that or better premium services, right, than other recruiting agencies, and it's a lot of money to use us. So of course on the business side, I got to do what I got to do. Now in regards to recruitment agencies and other benefits they have. One of them could be they negotiate salary on your behalf. So like you don't ever have to really talk about like how much money you're going to make. I mean, certainly they'll ask you, but then you can refer back to the recruitment agent and say, hey, the recruitment agent is actually negotiating on my behalf. See him, right? Or see her in this case. So yeah, Jess and I can certainly help with negotiation. That's something that we can do if we've got an open order that we're working on. But again, all of this is contingent upon, do we have an open order that's a perfect fit for what you do, right? The other thing that can be helpful in terms of using a recruitment agency, sometimes they get to know the client very well or have a long-standing working relationship with that company that you'd be looking to get into. There's been some times where because I've had multiple years of experience working with a specific manager in a company, that I know everything that they're about, right? And I know how their management style would work. I can explain that perfectly to somebody who's looking for a role with that company. So yeah, if I'm given the job order with somebody that I know, that's a fantastic advantage. But again, is that common? Like, does that happen a lot where, I know a person for years and then they just so happen to have a role open that's perfect for you specifically, the listener? It's possible, but what are the odds, right? It's just not extremely high. And the same thing goes for any recruitment agency, right? Every recruitment agency is just kind of like you're hoping and praying, you're crossing your fingers that they do have something open for you that's like that. And one last final point I'll make on that is even if somebody knows the company very well or knows a specific manager that you'll be working under, that is not a guarantee that that person that you would be working under for however long is going to stay, right? That person could leave, that person could get fired, or something drastic could happen in the environment of that company that causes it to dissolve or causes it problems, right? Where they can't afford to keep you anymore, and then now you're back where you were before, which is, kind of an unfortunate situation, but it is realistic, right? So go ahead, Jess.
Yeah, exactly. And to that point as well, one of the benefits of working with a recruiter is that because the company is putting in quite a lot of money, like as you saw, it could be literally $30,000 that they're paying the recruiter. They tend to not want to fire you for that reason, unless you're like really, really bad. So it does help you, maybe feel a little bit more secure in the job that if they're going to put that much time and effort and money into finding you because they're using a recruiter, that they're going to want to make sure you're staying. So, it could just give you a little bit more job security unless there's something really crazy, like obviously if you steal from the company, then it doesn't matter how much money they put in, they're going to fire you. If the company like shuts down or gets everyone has to get laid off or something, like obviously there's nothing they can do. But other than crazy circumstances, it does add a little bit more job security with a traditional recruiter because they put in money and because they also built this relationship between the recruiter and the new employee.
Exactly. Yeah, very well put. And I think that really kind of sums up the benefits of using a traditional recruitment agency. Certainly, we do have that aspect to our service, but there are some ways in which you don't actually really benefit from a recruitment agency that operates in that fashion. And that's why JobStream AI is so unique. We're not able to just offer you the benefits of, a recruitment agency if that's what you like, but we also offer you much better benefits. And Jess can kind of start to explain what are some of the things that don't necessarily benefit you if you use a recruitment agency.
Yeah, for sure. So one of the biggest ones is that they're not really dedicated or loyal to you as a person because there's no reason for them to be because they're not being paid by you. They're being paid by whoever gets like once the role is filled, they get paid. So they don't care. The point for them is not to find one person and stick with that person and be like, oh, this is my person. No matter what happens, the point is to get that job filled as quickly as possible with whoever. So it makes it harder for you. It's kind of like if you were to buy a house and you were using the real estate agent to be the buyer and the seller. Like it wouldn't make sense to do that because there's no incentive for you as the buyer to get a really good price if you were using the same real estate agent and they're getting the commission on the sale. So they're going to want the highest sale price, not giving you the best price as the buyer. So that's kind of what happens with a recruiter. It's not to say that they're like mean to you or they don't care, but obviously their priority is getting paid and whoever fits the job description. So it's less secure for you as the consumer.
Those are great points. Yeah. I mean, I loved what you said about like the real estate agent and kind of playing both sides, right? It's like somebody's got to have incentive to do something, right? If I'm going to be working, it's got to be because I'm getting paid for it, right? And so, in a very real sense, even though we are a recruitment agency, we have a branch of our service in which you can actually get a more dedicated search going, paying us basically to do that work, hard work for you. And we break down that work in other videos that we do on this channel. But yeah, that's a huge differentiator is that we're incentivized in our other service to help you find work. The other ways that using a standard recruitment agency will not benefit you really is they're really only focused on roles that they like to staff for, right? So you could be like a sales executive, but like if you're going with a recruiter who tends to find more marketing roles, it's not going to be exactly what you're looking for, right? You're really looking for something specific. You should have some uh, non-negotiables, right, that you're working for. And those really don't get met when you're working with a recruitment agency a lot of the time because it's really just about trying to fit a square peg into a round hole most of the time. It's like, oh, you have most of the, criteria that we need to meet our company's demands. You want to try this out? And it's like, oh, if it works out just enough and you can squeeze that square into that round hole enough, like you get the role, but like, okay, that's still not meeting the criteria that you originally had. So that's another flaw of working with an agency that I think, if you work with us, even though we are an agency, we have that other service that really works on the dedication side, making sure that you're getting what you're actually looking for, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And that brings us perfectly into the next point, which is that most recruiters are not really incentivized to care about you as a person because at the end of the day, their mission is just to make their clients happy, which is the company that they work for, and not you as the person. But with us, we really work with you as the person, and we are incentivized to care about you and what you want. And we actually, in our other videos, you'll see we have a whole framework and identity worksheets and all these things to help you figure out what is your dream role. And we really care about finding your dream role instead of just saying, oh, I have this open role to fill, and I don't really care if you're going to be miserable in a year because I get paid if you work there for at least 6 months, So we're not like that. And that is a benefit and a flaw of a traditional recruitment. They're really on the client side, not for the customer. We're for the customer.
Yeah, another great point. We've only got a couple more of these left before we're going to go ahead and end this video, but another point that has to be made here, and this is why going with a recruitment agency ultimately is kind of the bigger risk, especially if it's only a recruitment agency. It does not offer a dedicated service where it actually will, guide you on the path and help you to really differentiate yourself from your competition. Most recruitment agencies are under very strict orders by a company to find a very specific type of a person. If you have not had incredible tenure over the course of the last 5 years, if you're somebody who ultimately is like has been out of work for a while, you're usually kind of crossed off the list for recruiters because they have such strict demands by their employers to go ahead and find people that are just like have pristine resumes, have had really solid tenures over the last years. If for whatever reason harm befell you over the course of COVID or any of the years after, or you went through a really erotic or just unique job search experience and you just ended up being on the wrong side of things, with like most people in our economy today, recruiters are not really your friend, not traditional recruiters, because again, companies are paying them to find the best talent out there. And when they say the best talent, it's the talent that has somehow, some way remained mostly unscathed through a lot of the problems that we're seeing in today's market. So if you've been struggling, most recruiters don't want to talk to you. Only recruiters mostly only want to talk to people who are currently working or have been working recently and have a track record of staying at one company for a long period of time, and or have been very successful at companies and has a very short gap in terms of times that they've been working. With us, we don't really factor that in as much in terms of like the personal side and the other branch of service that we provide with helping you find work. Where our focus is helping you, not necessarily helping employers out there with finding somebody who's got the resume of their dreams, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's like a big part of what JobStream does. We're really here to, solve the biggest pain points, and that's a big pain point, especially for someone that's been out of work or, for whatever reason. So we're here to work with you to figure out the best way to sell that to a company. And a lot of times people have really good reasons. If you were like, oh, I have to take care of my sick mom and I have to take a year off, like employers usually understand that, but we're here to make it easy for you to explain yourself and make it all polished and nice so they understand like what was going on and why you're still a great candidate, which I really like. And then another reason is that, as we mentioned before, recruiters make money and sometimes they make very large sums of money. So sometimes employers don't want to touch you if you're being represented by a recruiter because they know they have to pay. And they're like, oh, yeah, this candidate is good, but I don't really want to pay the 20% or 30% fee. So I'm going to try to hold out and find someone on my own. So sometimes it's a double-edged sword where it's like, yeah, it's easier for you in a way, but it can be harder because now the company might have liked you if you weren't being represented by a recruiter because you would have been easier for them to negotiate your salary instead of.
Yeah, all of these are rock solid points and reasons why going with a traditional recruitment agency in and of itself is not the greatest idea for most people. I'll give you one last point that I think will really kind of sum up everything that we're talking about, and that is um, contingency recruiting is what most agencies are. They operate on a basis in which the company gets paid if, right, they place somebody. That's the only condition in which some of these companies are getting paid. This is not all companies. In fact, this is not our company. Our company operates in such a way where the company must invest money up front in order to receive a candidate, right? And the reason why this is actually much smarter than contingency recruiting, which is the idea that I place and then you pay, is that companies will often deviously create strategies where the recruiter who doesn't get paid up front submits a candidate. This could be you, right? You have an interview with them, and this is all a facade because all along the plan was to gather a ton of like really worthy candidates, right? Really worthy resumes without paying a fee. And then a month later, tell that recruiter, oh, you know what? Hey, we actually decided to go with a different recruiting partner. Or, oh, hey, we actually canceled the search because we just don't have any way of being able to to verify if this is actually a position we need, which is kind of weird, right? Like if it's like months after you've already interviewed, this happens, right? Where recruiting agencies find out later because they weren't paid up front that, oh, this was all the whole time, this was just a whole ruse to try and get me to send them free people, and they're not actually planning on paying the recruiter or hiring you. This is a huge waste of time. I've encountered this in my contingency recruiting days many times, where a very worthy candidate had 2 or 3 interviews with the company, and the company pulled that crap on us, right? Where we were like, oh snap, they just decided that they wanted to fill the role with someone else, right? Or so they say. Or, the search is canceled all of a sudden. It's like 3 months later, you want to tell me that, right? So contingency recruiting is automatically like if you do have an interview with a recruiter, my instruction to you is ask them if they're a contingency recruiter first before you waste your time. Number two, ask them if they have a retainer, right? Because if they have a retainer, then what that means is that the company has already put some skin in the game. They've committed to filling the role because you wouldn't be paying a recruiter to fill the role if you weren't serious, right? And if they're paying us and we have openings, then you can know with beyond a shadow of a doubt that they're actually serious and their intentions are to fill the role because they paid a good amount of money to do it. So that's all I really have to say in terms of like traditional recruitment agencies. The answer is yes, we do have that side of our business where we do work with some companies and fill some roles for different types of people. But we also have something much more special in terms of specific dedicated job search services specifically for you. And if you want to learn more about that, watch some of the other videos on this channel and get in touch with us directly. We'd be happy to direct you in the perfect direction. So that way, as it pertains to your getting a job fast, we're here right here for you.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a perfect way. We're basically at the 20-minute mark, so I think that's a great ending. You can watch our other videos, but I think that's how it works. Like we're traditional in some senses, but we go far beyond, and we really, really care about you. You're our end customer. You're what incentivizes us, and we're here with you 100% of the way until you get hired. So That's it. And, learn more at jobstreamai.com or find us on LinkedIn, YouTube, anywhere.
See you on the other side.